All right. I thought I'd share a little bit of private information. It's not too private, but I don't mind doing that because I figure it'll help other people. Some people, you might not be where you want to be in life. Might be struggling about some things here and there. But some people are doing even worse than what you're doing. They're not handling it near as well. And sometimes they need to kind of hear from someone else. So I'm single. Have been for a while. I've seen, a lot of people say this this thing about how, well, it's better than being in a bad relationship. I'd rather that than be in a bad relationship. Well, that's true. And I've seen those for years. I've done this video a few times, so I'm probably repeating myself here. Don't know what I've said on this one or not. But anyway, people don't take enough time to actually go and think. George Carlin had this bit. It was in the middle of another big bit, but he mentioned something about going out and just staring at the clouds. And there's some truth to that. You don't have time to sort of just go out and reboot. And I often feel sorry for women. The more attractive, the more I feel sorry for them. And in a manner of speaking, it's made me almost be happy that I look like I do, because I can't imagine having to put up with that. I know it seems funny. It seems like the weirdest sort of sour grapes thing that anybody's ever thought about, but I really have, legitimately. And also, I just don't want to hurt people. So I've never really wanted multiple people chasing me because somebody's gonna get hurt. So I've actually taken comfort that I can actually be left alone. It's a lot of what I want. I don't want to be single forever, but I don't want to be around annoying people. I can't imagine at this point. And if there's any sort of defense I can give some of the relationships I've been in, I didn't outright feel this way. But you can get somebody in your house that you're just gritting your teeth wishing they would leave. And as much as I can say about my previous relationships, I haven't felt that way. And I also haven't ever been the bad guy, and that's an important detail in what I'm trying to get at. Because I used to read a lot of the Hindu and Buddhist stuff, and they talk about finding balance. And you kind of have to do that. Sometimes what you need to do is you need to find something right in the middle. So looking back at my relationships, and I'm not giving extreme detail at this point, and even if I do, I keep it pretty anonymous. I'm not going to pinpoint who did what and when and which relationship that was and all that. Just no point in it. But and obviously you just have to take my word for this, but I was the good guy in all of my relationships. As far as who did wrong, who did right, I was the good guy. And as crazy as that sounds. But here's where the learning part comes in. Because you can think that and still be like, well, I could have been better though. That's actually a very important detail about a lot in life. That because what people do to you is not your burden to carry. People wronging you, you carry nothing from that. You should feel no guilt. That's no burden for you. What you're going to remember and what's going to bother you and what should guilt you is what you've done to others. And even looking back at my relationships, any guilt that I carry with me is not that, I shouldn't have trusted this person. I wish I should have suspected something. I should have been meaner when the things really came to a head. No, actually what I regret is not being a better significant other. Believe it or not, even though it ended the way it ended, and even though I accept no blame for it. And if you knew the details, you'd agree with me. Unless you've got a screw loose. You'd have a hard time blaming me on any of these. But I wish I was better. I wish I'd been better. And, if I ever do end up in a relationship again, I expect I will be. I'm sure I carry some sort of baggage from all the trauma. But I am not one of these people who just settles on someone. And I'm not one of these people that just sort of sleeps around. I kind of wish I was. I'm just not one of these people that can do that. If I spend any time with somebody at all, it's because I care something about them. It's not going to be some fling and that's it. That sounds like a lot of fun if you can be like that, but I'm not. And I'm not going to waste my time on people who are that way. And needless to say, I've wasted enough time on people that way. Just didn't know they were that way at the time. But that's a very fine line that I think people need to find. Because a lot of times, you take my situation, like I've been married before too. So it was not my fault the marriage ended. I was not to blame. I could have actually come out even better from the marriage. I just say that. But a lot of people are going to do one of two things. They're going to make their ex just the devil, 100% wrong the whole time. They were just nothing but evil, nothing but awful the whole time, and that they were the perfect little angel and they did everything right, never made a single mistake. Well, that's ridiculous. And I'll point out another detail too. In life, and a lot of people, I'm sure a lot of people, very few people have, very few people don't have a situation in life where they've had a falling out with someone. And they got this turmoil because they got good memories. They went and did fun things with this person. There was good moments. So how do you reconcile that? Well, I'll tell you how you reconcile that. Those are yours. You earn those. Keep those good memories. And, people aren't black and white. That could have been some good moment with them. They could have been a good person then. That could have been some good part of them. So you got to do that also. You have good memories with this person that it ended horrible. They were a horrible person at the end of it. They did horrible things to you. Well, you can still keep those good memories. And you can still blame them where they deserve blame while still keeping in mind that maybe you could have done this or that better. And that's something I'm kind of working on. I don't know how well I'm doing, but I am working on it. That's just an important detail. Find that sort of balance. And in a manner speaking, you can sort of forgive them. This is another thing, too. Far too many people do. Forgiveness doesn't mean, it's not a reset button. You don't, like if somebody cheated on you, for example. Just, pick that up out of the blue. You can forgive them, if you can forgive them. But that doesn't mean things go back the way they were. I mean, to me, and I don't know whose toes I'm going to step on in saying this, if somebody cheats on you, it's over. The end. You don't go back. You don't come back from that. I guess if some people have, fine, but I don't understand it. I never will, and I'll never be a part of that. To me, it's as simple as this. It's kind of akin to the whole jealousy thing. You can't really, if you're with someone and you actually do love each other, how do you get jealous? How does either one of them ever cheat on the other one? Because they're with that person because of who they are. So it doesn't matter what this or that other person looks like, or even what kind of person they are, because you love them for who they are. So that also covers, like, if they get mutilated or something like that. They don't look like they used to. They get paralyzed or something like that. Like with, Christopher Reeve. They're still that same person. You love them. Everything else is great also. It's not nothing. But you would never cheat on them because you're not just cheating on a body. unless you have that mindset, in which case, you know, you're probably irredeemable, honestly. So that's an important detail. And I would kind of connect it to, I was thinking about putting these into separate videos, but I'll merge all this together and probably just do multiple videos of this. I don't add that wandering label for no reason. You got a whole show about hoarding. But believe it or not, getting in throwaway relationships is akin to hoarding. It's the same sort of mental flaw. There's something not going right in the head. It's the same sort of thing, because people have this idea, like if you notice with hoarding, there's a common theme through all of them. It's got some kind of connection to do with death. It's like these people think that they think time has stopped. They don't accept that time is marching on. And it's usually triggered by some sort of a death that had happened, and they've never gotten over it. And they have this idea, if they keep all these projects, I'm going to do this someday, I'm going to use that someday, this might come in handy. And there's other reasons for keeping it too, but a big part of it is that they think they're buying time. Like, if I keep myself all these things to do, time's not marching on, I can just deny it. You can just completely deny it. And I liken that and dead-end relationships to like being in some kind of huge supermarket or shopping mall or something like that. And you're in there with your list of all these things that you need to pick up for your life. And one of them, of course, is being the relationship. The relationship. And people have a notion that if they just push that card around in there, set that list aside, push that card around in there, they can stay longer. Because you can't make them leave. They haven't gotten the stuff off their list yet. Well, the problem is that's not true. You are going to leave. At some point, you're going to leave, whether you've gotten all the stuff off your list or not. So you might want to pick that list up. But they seem to have that notion. It's that same sort of thing. It kind of connects to, I'm going to butcher this, but Jeff Bridges, you might be able to look this up. He was on some sort of talk show, and he was talking about his relationship. And he put it in his own sort of comical sort of way, but it was actually brilliant. And as I said, I'm going to butcher it, but he was talking about being younger, and he was afraid to get married. And he sort of equated it to death, like it was a funeral. And if you notice, the marriage vows, to death do us part. And it does sort of hit some people, like if I find that person, well, the next thing is death. And again, it takes me back to my sort of simile or metaphor about the supermarket. They think that if they find that person, well, the next thing is to go to that checkout line and check out. And it just sort of gets in their brain, well, if I can just sort of screw around my whole life, it'll buy me more time. I always have time. I always have time. And me, about to turn 43 in a week, I'm feeling the march of time, let me tell you. There's never enough time. That's a funny thing also. I'll throw that in, sort of another thing I've been thinking about. People lose people. Or let's say I find my person anytime real soon. Part of me will be bitter about all this time I missed. Why couldn't I have ran into them, assuming we're about the same age? Why couldn't I have run into them 20 years ago? Obviously my whole life would have changed trajectory, and a lot of things that I have now I wouldn't have. Pets even. Good things in life wouldn't have happened. But even leaving all that aside, and that's certainly not nothing, there's never enough time. With a loved one, if you lose a loved one, or if you've just gotten with this significant other, later in life. You kind of wish you'd gotten together when you were younger. There's never enough time. That's the thing about love. I mean, there's a minute with somebody you love is worth more than anything. And yet a million years is not enough. So it's kind of a funny thing. But that's just some random thoughts about relationships, things like that. Almost sort of a captain's log on it. I'm sure I'll do more of these. I definitely got a lot to tell as far as that goes. But that's just my main details right there, is you can keep your good memories, even with the relationships that ended badly or had bad moments in them. And be the best person that you can be, because that's what's going to hit you later. That's what you have to carry. People doing you wrong is not for you to carry. That's for them to carry. But when you fail to be the best person that you can be, you carry that with you. That's yours to carry. And I guess that's probably about it. But anyway, that's it for now. Just kind of a off-the-cuff sort of thing. Just sort of clearing my head about relationships. And it's a good thing I did this before I periodically browsed more singles ads. I wouldn't be in near as good a mood. That's bad. That's it for now.